Digital appendages of radio stations have already broken down geographical barriers and time zones, tapping a new market that could have never been realized in years past. For example, via an iPhone app, Radio Philippines, I could still listen to a Philippine station for my daily dose of news and socio-political chismes even if I am abroad. In Metro Manila, I could still listen in to a provincial radio station to keep track of developments in my hometown. Also, podcasts provide me the convenience of listening to favorite radio shows at my most convenient time. My only lament though is this: most of these efforts are not actually initiated by the radio stations, but rather by enterprising aggregators who make a reasonable business out of streaming live content of various radio stations. Sayang, kayo dapat kumita doon. My third point is this: content has to adjust for radio to continue to be relevant. Several years ago, unilateral is the best way to describe the interaction radio talents have with their listeners. This one-way street grounded the basic format of any radio show: play music, raise a single topic to engage the audience, deliver the news, and air some paid commercial spots. This format has triumphantly endured the early surges of technological inventions, with listeners then calling in or paging in the responses or song requests. I'm sure the elders here remember Pocket Bell and Easy Call as a way to request music or to send comments. There also came the early days of mobile phones where radio station entertained text entries, but the cost attached to it became a limitation in itself. These one-sided formats are now becoming less and less attractive as people got overwhelmed by the digital tide. The idea of online communities sprang forth as interaction-based sites prospered across the web and people got addicted to it. Radio just had to keep up, and it did quite impressively well in some cases, finding out that their audiences now value closer interaction and the feeling of belongingness. Local broadcasters knew they had to tweak the format, utilize not only their station websites, but more importantly, leverage the influence of social networking sites. The mechanics of doing a radio show now includes the reactions and thoughts of listeners who tweet and post relentlessly without censorship and free of charge. It's as if two shows are happening simultaneously, the actual show in the airwaves and the other one on Twitter and Facebook. Digital not only widens the market, it also enhances the whole radio experience. It gives a new dynamic and life to it. The on-air discussion of listeners' text, tweets, and Facebook comments have become as essential as playing requested songs. Notably, half of Twitter trending topics in the morning are really topics from radio shows airing on different frequencies. My fourth and final point is this: in order to survive financially, radio must continue to provide advertisers the required number and quality of audiences desired by brands. We all know this is easier said than done. The secret is to keep your ear to the ground and never lose sight of your audience. And both advertisers and broadcasters have to respond quickly upon each discovery of an opportunity. Moreover, what works for the advertiser now may no longer be what they want to have tomorrow. We all remember how this evolved. They used to just be satisfied with a 30-second radio commercial. Then they started discovering other ways of marketing their brands via radio. AOBs, brought to you by announcers and radio DJs discussions, and events to accompany spots. Now Facebook and Twitter and other social networking sites have evolved into some form of a digital arm of any radio station. On-air promos and ads would always have a follow or like element into it, encouraging listeners to visit and join the online communities of their brands. The use of hashtags has become a common way for listeners to be heard and recognized by radio shows they regard as communities where they belong. For broadcasters, Twitter's trending list has become a gauge of popularity. And moreover, digital-savvy advertisers do not only settle for the usual on-air exposure. They now clamor to get digital exposure as well, kasama sa package. And stations with their own websites can take advantage of this reality, since they can now offer additional values through their official websites via page skinning, banner ads, and a lot more unique executions to cater to different advertisers' needs. To recap, radio is not dead, and provided it makes adjustments given the current improvements in technology, it will continue to attract the next generation of listeners and advertisers. How can you radio owners ensure this happens? Three action points. Be where your listeners are, whether offline or online. Adjust your content taking into consideration social media interaction and other brand engagement ways of doing it. Show advertisers that you have the audiences and that these audiences engage in conversations relevant to the equities the brand associates itself with. Some of you have already done this, but for those who have yet to do this or are in the process of doing it, we may be able to help. I'm no longer working with your competitor. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you, Nic. Please take your seat on stage. We will have a